What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Choose Andy MMA, your home for all things MMA, guys. We discuss all things MMA. We cover everything in the MMA space, guys. Are you ready for today's discussion, guys? Guys, today I want to talk about how a loss in MMA doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter that much. Now listen to me. Israel Adesanya just lost, okay? And then he lost before that, and he lost before that. That's 3 losses in a row. Okay? I want to come here and say that 3 losses in MMA is equal to 1 loss in boxing. I'm using boxing as an example here, as a reference point or whatever the fuck you want to call it. 3 losses in MMA, let me repeat that. 3 losses in MMA equals 1 loss in boxing, okay? Now listen to me here. In MMA, obviously you have striking, okay? But then you also have your game on the ground. When you're standing up striking, what can you hit your opponent with, okay? You got fists. Yeah, you got fists. You got elbows. Yeah, you got kicks. Your feet. You got knees. You got shoulder strikes. Conor McGregor, shoulder striking Donald Cerrone. You have so much more than just your fists to knock your opponent out. There is a much higher chance of having a lucky knockout in MMA than there is in boxing. With boxing, you're just focused on one discipline, boxing, fists. That's it. A lucky punch in boxing, a lucky knockout in boxing happens. It can happen, but it rarely happens, in my opinion. These guys dedicate their lives to being able to counter, being able to slip every punch, see what's coming. In boxing and MMA, these guys dedicate their lives to trying to make it so they see everything coming, but you fucking can't in MMA, guys. So Israel Adesanya first lost to Sean Strickland. Shitty fight, okay? That's 1 loss. That's equal to 0.33 of a loss if you're looking at it in the boxing standpoint. And then he loses to Dricus du Plessis. Now, he was submitted in that. On the ground, there is less of a chance of a lucky submission, in my opinion. These MMA fighters, they need to be well-versed on their feet and on the ground. We all know this. On the ground, you have the jiu-jitsu game. Your opponent can come from anywhere and submit you, but there's less of a chance of a lucky submission. Now, you have, like, elbows and fists coming at you on the ground, potentially, that can knock a person out, but a lucky win on the ground doesn't happen as often as on the feet, but it does happen. A lucky win on the ground is probably just as likely as a lucky win in boxing, to me. 2nd loss in a row by submission. Now that one, that's like a very valid loss. Guys, just MMA is hard as fuck, okay? That's what I'm trying to get at. MMA is hard as all fuck. And then you have Izzy's 3rd loss in a row against Nasruddin Imavov. I had to remind myself of his name. Who's a top 5 guy? Top 5 guy. He can knock out anyone in the division, really. If you're in the top 5, you have a chance to knock out beat anybody in the division, even Israel Adesanya. Was it a lucky knockout? Imavov knocking out Izzy, was it lucky? I don't know if I would call it lucky. It was a good shot, and Izzy's guard was down, and he got caught. But like I said, Izzy's, trying to be aware of kicks, elbows, knees, all that shit. Easier to get caught with a punch. So Izzy's on 3 losses in a row, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. That's equal to 1 loss And if you're looking at it from a boxing standpoint, that's one loss. Is he's still in the game? Then you have like a situation like Tony Ferguson. How many losses is Tony Ferguson on? Let's see real quick, because I need to refresh my memory on how unfortunate his last few fights have been here. So he is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 losses in a row for Tony Ferguson, who just signed with the GFL apparently. I guess he left the UFC without really saying anything. 8 losses, that's equal to 2.66 losses in boxing. And when you get to that 3 losses in a row in boxing, it's like, all right, well, this person might be fucking done. And honestly, dude, 9... Okay, so I'm saying 9 losses in a row in MMA is equal to 3 losses in a row in boxing. And to be honest, I think that's accurate. It sounds crazy, but I think that's actually accurate, dude. Because Anderson Silva, near the end of his UFC career, had a bit of a bumpy road. So let's see here. 1, 2... no contest with Nick Diaz. That was actually a win for Anderson Silva. I don't know. They did him dirty. Okay, but let's just count it as a loss, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he has a win. And then 1, 2, 3. So Anderson Silva wasn't done, guys. He could have... Okay, see, this is where my argument kind of like starts... not making that much sense, but I don't give a damn. I'm going to stand by it. 9 losses in MMA, it's like, all right, just leave. Just go. It's just go, man. Now, looking at Anderson Silva's record, it reminds me of something I want to talk about, guys. Did you all forget how good Anderson Silva was? Because when people talk about their Mount Rushmore of MMA, it's weird. I seem to not be hearing Anderson Silva's name very much anymore, which is very peculiar because the most consecutive title defenses, I'm pretty sure, the most knockouts at middleweight, I want to say. I can't say that for sure, but the longest win streak in UFC history still, I'm pretty sure. And let's talk about his fighting style. Knocked everybody out cold. Cold. John Jones doesn't knock people out cold like Anderson Silva did. Knockout fucking artist. Artist. Master. And he was a BJJ black belt. He knew his way on the ground. We all know the 5th round win that he has over Chael Sonnen after Chael Sonnen was beating his ass on the ground and pounding his ass, wrestling his ass. We all know his fucking 5th round come from behind win with the triangle choke, I think it was, right? He has heart, too. That shows he has heart. Guys, it goes John Jones at number 1. I will, pound for pound, like all-time list. John Jones, Anderson Silva. That is not up for discussion or argument. And then you say, oh, he popped for fucking banned substance or whatever. Shut the fuck up. That guy has erectile dysfunction. That guy has fucking erectile dysfunction, you asshole. He was taking pills to make him be able to get hard, you assholes. Okay, I don't know about that. But when it comes to the PED discussion, like, to be honest, I don't know what the fuck it feels like to be on PEDs, testosterone, anything like that. I don't know how much it gives you extra, but I honestly don't think it matters that much. Maybe I'm stupid in saying that, but I don't think it matters that much. And I don't think Anderson Silva was even like that guy to be fucking shooting himself up with whatever the fuck steroids. Maybe he did it once, and maybe the time he got popped was just all a misunderstanding. But okay, so I don't know if it helps. I mean, Chael Sonnen admittedly was on steroids for a lot of his career, and he wasn't like running through everybody. Anyway, Anderson Silva is the greatest of all time, second greatest of all time under John Jones. If John Jones didn't win the belt at heavyweight, I would still say Anderson Silva is number one. You have GSP, who never popped for any steroids or PEDs, and that's people's argument. It should be John Jones and then GSP. I'm here to say that's wrong. Simply because now GSP, GSP was on his way out the door just as I was getting into MMA. But obviously I went back and have seen GSP's fights. I know his record. He has a lot of consecutive title defenses. Not as much as Anderson Silva. And GSP, from what I know, he just, took people down and controlled the fight down there. Come on, Anderson Silva was knocking people out. He had a good ground game. He didn't like taking his fights to the ground, but he could hold his own on the ground if he had to. Anderson Silva was exciting. He made statements in fights. He is number 2 pound for pound of all time. Don't. Last thing I think I want to talk about is, guys, this is actually a question for everybody out there. Was there ever, in the history of sports, ever a journalist that covered their favorite sport, the sport they loved? Was there ever a journalist that got banned from the biggest organization of the sport they loved, like Ariel Helwani has been? Now, I don't know if Ariel is still banned from going to UFC events, but I know damn well he was for a while. Was there ever another journalist in another sport that happened to? Ariel loves the fucking sport, dedicated so much of his time to covering it, and then Dana White gets pissed at him for leaking the Brock Lesnar news at UFC 200 and bans Ariel from media and just coming to any of the events, I'm pretty sure. Which is very unfortunate, because that is huge. I want to say more, but actually I have to go, guys. So thanks for watching. We'll see you later.